set the stage for what should be a great year of NFL action.
There's a handful of teams that potentially can compete for a Super Bowl championship.
Confusion and uncertainty this year more than some in the past.
This team looks like it's ready to make a move, but we just don't know if it's bad or good this year.
J.J. McCarthy is eventually going to take over, but it's a no-lose situation for them.
I mean, they suck. They were 7-10.
Only on SportsGrid.
Hopefully they learned their lesson. Hey, this ain't the NBA, bro. You don't have 6 fouls, and they will check you on this stuff. And Brooks has a reputation coming into this. You can tell the refs are watching them, and they were on him all the time.
This was 10, 12 years ago. Canada playing Greece with that type of lead if they had. They probably would have mentally crumbled and lost that game to Greece by 3 or 4 points in the final minute of that ball game.
SportsRage Late Night. Only on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shane back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
The bottom of this field is a bunch of guys, quite frankly, that aren't on the tour, aren't on the DP tour, aren't on the Korn Ferry tour.
You know, the top 25 or so in this field, I mean, you've got Rory, you've got Lowry, you've got Scheffler, you know, all 4 Americans, Minwoo Lee and Jason Day. And you go to Mito Pereira and Joaquin Neiman out of Chile. So, you know, it really is pretty deep.
In-game live, prime time, only on...
Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency, the Pips, the players, the hustlers, the people that bust them, and everybody else in between. Let's do this thing. The Friday Night Freak Show has begun with a pick 6 as the Toronto Argonauts have just returned an intercepted pass for a touchdown, and the game will not be staying under the number. God, I hate unders. As I thought this would be an uglier game. It has been an ugly game, but there's a pick 6. Touchdown Argos, 27-22. Extra point. Pending, there's 9.5 minutes left in this football game. So we start off with a bang here this evening. We've got NFL preseason football going on that will track the Baltimore Ravens and the Philadelphia Eagles in action. The Miami Dolphins and the Atlanta Falcons still playing. The Houston Texans beat the Pittsburgh Steelers tonight. 20-12 is the final score. The game stayed under the number, and the Houston Texans get the W. C.J. Stroud threw a touchdown pass, then exited the football game. Pittsburgh's offense just couldn't get anything going, although Justin Fields looked okay. There were some troubles with the exchange under center, but this is what you play preseason games for. But Houston did win, and the game did go under the number. The Toronto Argonauts are going for 2 right now, and they get the 2. So the game has just got over the number. Or it's about to. It's 49.5. They're at 49. Right now. It'd take a straight-out miracle for there not to be another point in a CFL game. I've got it teased as well to the under. Maybe we can bail out on the teaser. We do have the Argos, which that's good. Man, I don't know what it is. I always say never again will I take it under, and then, you know, it happens. Almost like saying never again am I going to bet on a track and field event. So let's get to the baseball. We'll get into the Olympics in a couple of minutes, actually. Baseball. We have a couple of games coming up here. Some cool matchups, including the New York Mets and the Seattle Mariners. Quintana versus Miller. The total is 8. Any Seattle Mariner game in which it's not 6, you almost feel like you have to take the under. Seattle are small home favorites here, minus 130 in this baseball game. The Pittsburgh Pirates and the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Pirates have given the Dodgers problems over the last couple of years. The Dodgers always lose in Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh have beaten them in L.A. a couple of times. But it is Jack Flaherty tonight. Flaherty making his second start for the Los Angeles Dodgers after being acquired at the trade deadline. he was razor sharp in his first start. He got a ton of run support. The Dodgers won 10-0, the game he pitched against San Diego. He got a ton of run support, but he looked good. So he's on the hill here tonight. The Dodgers are minus 230. The total is 7.5. Keller's been good as well. Keller's pretty consistent in giving up like 2 runs in his starts. So I'm looking at this total. I preferred at 8. You know, if you want to buy that half run so you don't get squeezed by the half a run here, minus 130. But I don't think there'll be a ton of runs in this baseball game tonight. Dodgers minus 230, little pricey to lay. You can put them in parlays if you really want to play them. And Detroit and San Francisco, I've got zero interest in. I got enough problems as it is. There's enough action as it is, including this Miami Dolphin and Atlanta Falcon football game. Waiting for Nate Rourke to get his opportunity. The Dolphins got up early in this game, but they haven't pulled away. Atlanta are hanging around. They're like one drive away, essentially, in Miami, Florida. It's nice to have the NFL back. Yeah, it's preseason, but every journey begins with the first steps. Every marathon, you have to start somewhere. You got to take the first step. So it's a 20-13 for the Miami Dolphins. 10.5 minutes left in the football game. The Falcons were 2.5-point favorites in this game. I played the under, even though I didn't love it. I sort of just said, you know what? These 38 and 38.5 are just too high for the preseason. So we split. We took the Pittsburgh Steelers plus the 3. And we had the under in that game. We get the split. We're on the Philadelphia Eagles to beat the Baltimore Ravens. I should have taken the under in this game. And I see the NFL Network is giving us a live look-in right now, actually. They're bouncing around. They've got a live look-in of the Falcons and the Dolphins. We're on the under in this game, and I've got Atlanta. So I don't know. Maybe we'll get the split in the NFL tonight. Maybe we'll get lucky. I haven't had, my total bets have been good in the preseason, but I haven't had luck with like the randomness of the fourth quarter of these games yet. All right, so Nate Rourke is on the field right now. One of the reasons why I took the Atlanta Falcons is believing that Nate Rourke was going to be able to move the football for them in the fourth quarter. He's fighting for a job in the National Football League for real. He was the most valuable offensive player in the CFL a couple of years ago, so we've seen him ball. We know he's good. And last year he played in the preseason for the Jags against the Dallas Cowboys, and he was really good. Remember, he made some crazy-ass plays. So I figured, you know what, if he gets a full quarter of action, I was hoping he would have got a little more than a quarter, but at least we're getting basically almost, there's 10 minutes left. But it goes to show what they think of him when they're only giving him the last, 10 minutes in this football game. And the problem is they keep on offensive line, problems. They keep on false start penalties, so they kind of buried themselves a little bit of a hole here. So we'll keep our eye on all this football. Rob Vinos likes to talk football. Rob Vinos going to step up and join us. Steve Merrill in the house. Tony Finn, the Raging Redhead. Cam Stewart. We got a CFL football game. Like I said, we started off with a pick 6 here. It's been a strange game. Like a lot of weird plays and fumbles, and that's how we've gotten to where we are right now. I hope that it slows down, and we can at least hit the teaser to the under. We are on the Toronto Argonauts. Man, we've even got like a CEBL. I got so much action going on here, and I'm all over the place. We even got like the CEBL, the Canadian Basketball League playoffs, are going on. Ton of action. So speaking of action, dear God, the Olympics today could not have been crazier, like at one time. And it's not like an over-exaggeration to say that Canada winning the men's 100 4x4 men's relay is one of the biggest surprises and biggest upsets and shocking gold medals in the history of the Olympics. And in fact, there were different numbers everywhere depending on when and where type of deal. I saw 33-1 in the morning. Like this morning, I saw 33-1 for Canada to win. So, simply $10 would have gotten us back $330. It was that improbable. They had the 7th lowest odds to win the gold medal. Yet one odds maker and bookmaker today sent me a message. Everyone could see, he said on Twitter, he goes, we actually had it at 66-1 at one point. And Canada won the gold medal, The fastest men in the world are Canadians right now. A shocking development. And it was almost like, I can't believe I didn't bet on them. Like at this price, and, you know, I've done homer bets before. So it's like, I can't believe I didn't bet on this. That's what makes it such a shock. Nobody thought they had a hope in hell, all right? I guess they did, but nobody, like, when I saw it, I was like, oh, they're plus 400 to make the podium, huh? And I was going to do it, actually, but I don't know, there's so much stuff going on. I got distracted or whatever, but I didn't really like it even. I was like, I looked, I'm like, I don't know, they're not really that fast. Like, the 4x4 relay, so 4 different runners, each individual 4 runners on Team Canada, the one goal today, not one of them qualified for the finals in their own event. Like all 4 of them had a bad Olympics. Like they didn't get out of the heats. Like they couldn't qualify for the final. They underperformed. They couldn't do anything right. And I saw it. I was like, man, there's no way. I was like, come on. Like really, these guys, like, and I was thinking even if I was like, you're just throwing money away. They're not going to do it. Wow, they did it. They won gold. Unbelievable. And at the exact same time that's going on, we've got like penalty kicks in the gold medal match between Spain and France. France were down, scored in like the 90th minute, went to extra time. Spain wins the gold medal. The women's field hockey went to a shootout. Penalty shots, hockey style, except on field. Wild stuff.
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center, here in Salt Lake City, Utah, folks. What a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56. Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight. Harry on the target. Right hand from my Perry. Double check. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form. Bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
80 seconds remaining.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
The Friday Night Freak Show has begun. This is SportsRage Sirius XM Channel 159 on the SportsGrid Radio and Television Networks. We've got a CFL game going on right now. There's 4.5 minutes left in this game. It's 32-22. It's really opened up as far as the points are concerned. That pick six. It's been a strange game of neither team has been great. Toronto's offense is terrible, yet somehow they got 32 points on the board. And Toronto do a good job. They've done a good job all year of like special teams, interceptions, just sort of manufacturing points. Plus Calgary Calgary are undefeated at home, and they're terrible on the road. But this game was like a lot lower scoring. It really has opened up here. There's under 4 minutes remaining right now. 32-22. Calgary's going for a field goal, and it's 20-13 in Miami right now with 8 minutes left in the National Football League game. We got Baltimore and Philadelphia going on. Football is back. There's a full slate of football tomorrow. The Eagles and the Ravens are tied at 13 right now with 5 minutes left, so a little preseason craziness is going to be in store here in the game's final minutes. The Eagles do have the football right now on their own 33-yard line. And Atlanta, Nate Rourke got on the field, former CFL most valuable player for the Atlanta Falcons. But they put him on the field with like 9 minutes left, and he's on the field with like third-string offensive linemen who were all false starting, and they couldn't get any rhythm going. It's a tough, it's a cold world in the preseason. All right, here's Calgary for the field goal. They make the kick. So it is now 32-25 with 3:45 left to be exact. We got baseball going on. We got the Olympics. We got Cam Stewart, Steve Merrill in the house. Cam Stewart and Steve. Yep. Good to see you, Steve. How you doing today?
Great to see you, boys. How you doing?
Good.
Sweating out a bunch of NFL preseason and CFL games.
That's your own fault. That's your own damn fault.
Hey, Gabe, I got good news, though. We got this ladies' golf surrounded. And I mean surrounded, buddy, with Cole. This is going to be, we got to stay up because this guy, we might have to bring out the scissors in this one at 40-1. Things are getting real interesting. Big scores.
Yeah, the Olympic golf, we said Lydia Ko at 33-1 was crazy odds. And she's leading right now. Doesn't mean she's going to win, but there's a final round of golf coming up. But 32-25 right now. And last night, it was one of the craziest CFL games ever at the end of the game. And with still this 3 minutes left, God knows what's going to happen here. We got a 7-point game. We'll keep our eye on this. We got baseball with the Dodgers and the Pirates and the Mariners and the Mets. Steve, what do you think about the late-night card tonight?
So I used a free play earlier today on Wager Talk TV on the Dodgers -1.5 run line, and the game just started. It's a little bit juicier now at -260. It was -200 when I put it out earlier, -240 tip at a first pitch. So run line was around even money, though, and as we've always talked about, Gabe, Dodgers even lose outright as they have 6 of their last 10, or they cover the run line 3 of their last 4 wins by 2 or more. So I liked Flaherty. He had a great start after being traded from the Tigers, a 10-0 win at Oakland last Saturday. And that was a great spot, but now it's his first home game with the Dodgers. I think it's a good spot tonight as well. So keep an eye on the Dodgers, especially if you can get an adjusted price here near the beginning.
You know what? Keller's been okay, too. He's pretty consistent at giving up like 2 runs a game. You know what I mean? 2 runs, maybe 3, 1 run. Like, I was thinking about the under in this game as well, Steve.
It went from 8 down to 7.5, so the sharp money agreed with you. It was 8 earlier today when I was doing the TV show at Wager Talk. It closed 7.5. Here's what's crazy about Keller, guys. Gabe, he was an all-star last year, which I didn't even remember. He closed with an ERA of over 4 last season. Has a better ERA
Pittsburgh
this
Pirate
year.
All-Star selection.
That's exactly right, but that's where I was going with that, right? Because Steves wasn't on the team yet. So
Exactly.
How crazy is that? He was an all-star last year with weaker numbers and didn't make it this year.
But nevertheless, like you said, and it's funny, Steve, I brought up the 8 earlier, too, at 7.5. And what do you think of the total of 8 in the Mets and the Mariners game? Because we've seen some a lot lower totals with the Mariners previously. So we got Quintana and Miller on the hill. People don't trust Quintana.
Closed as high as 8.5 at some books, which is unheard of for Seattle, right? I mean, like, for example, yesterday the over-under was 7, like we've seen in a lot of Mariners games. T-Mobile Park's been extremely pitcher-friendly for years now. Mariners are very mediocre offensively there. I think this just speaks to, once again, some mediocre pitchers and the fact that the Mets are one of the best offensive teams in baseball. But playing under 8.5 in Seattle home games has probably been a pretty good play the last few years.
Cam, what do you got tonight? Major League Baseball.
I have the Chicago White Sox +2.5 and +420. Live, I'm also on every under in the night games. Give me Mets, Mariners, under. Dodgers, Pirates, under. Tigers, Giants, under. 3 unders.
Unders tonight across the board, huh? All right. I'm staying away from the Giants and the Tigers game. So speaking of unders, Steve, we've had a bunch of unders in the National Football League preseason, actually. And you said, that's my fault. I'm sweating it out. It's more the CFL game that's causing me stress than the NFL, to be honest. And here's my boy Nate Rourke. I took the Atlanta Falcons on the money line, and I have the under in the game. I just thought, Steve, these 38 and 38.5, man, preseason totals have got a lot higher. They used to just commonly be 33.5, 34, 35. Tonight we saw 38.5, 38. We saw it last night as well. Okay, maybe this Dolphin game looks like it's about to go over, but if you've been playing unders in the last 24 hours in the NFL, you've been cashing tickets. It's been 4 straight.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yesterday on Thursday on Wager Talk Today, Teddy and Ralph Michaels were talking about this, and Ralph pointed out that last year we saw a lot more overs than normal in the NFL preseason. As I heard them say that, what's the first thing I think, Gabe? Oh, maybe we look at the under now. That's just how it works. And I think you're exactly right. Now, look, Houston played a game already, but still, that game closed 38.5 tonight. It was Pittsburgh's first preseason game. I mean, we used to see totals in the low 30s. That Hall of Fame game was 31-32 last week for the first game. But you're right, all 3 games tonight, 37 or higher, which is a very key number. So, yeah, I do get a feeling that maybe they're bumping them a little too high after last year's high-scoring preseason.
We'll hit some of this on the other side. So the Texans did play Stroud tonight, and the Texans are pretty good. They look crisp tonight. We'll give them credit. And Pittsburgh looked terrible. We'll say that as well. Their offense was very sloppy. The offensive line was sloppy, etc. But curious your take. The Chicago Bears have already played a football game. The Buffalo Bills have not. Right? So we'll see how that carries over tomorrow in their head-to-head matchup.
Try and set the stage for what should be a great year of NFL action.
There's a handful of teams that potentially can compete for a Super Bowl championship.
Confusion and uncertainty this year more than some in the past.
This team looks like it's ready to make a move, but we just don't know if it's bad or good this year.
J.J. McCarthy is eventually going to take over, but it's a no-lose situation for them.
I mean, they suck. They were 7-10.
Only on SportsGrid.
Hopefully they learned their lesson. Hey, this ain't the NBA, bro. You don't have 6 fouls, and they will check you on this stuff. And Brooks has a reputation coming into this. You can tell the refs are watching them, and they were on him all the time.
This was 10, 12 years ago. Canada playing Greece with that type of lead that they had. They probably would have mentally crumbled and lost that game to Greece by 3 or 4 points in the final minute of that ball game.
SportsRage Late Night. Only on SportsGrid.
Say the under has the correct juice to the 6.5 win total for the New York Giants. It's a losing season. It's a bad season in the greater New York area. Is Brian Daboll and is Joe Shane back next year?
As a Giants fan, what are you looking forward to? Absolutely nothing. You're hoping like the Yankees make a long enough run so you can forget about the Giants.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
The bottom of this field is a bunch of guys, quite frankly, that aren't on the tour, aren't on the DP tour, aren't on the Corn Ferry tour.
The top 25 or so in this field, I mean, you've got Rourke, you've got Lowry, you've got Scheffler, all 4 Americans, Minwoo Lee and Jason Day. And you go to Mito Pereira and Joaquin Neiman out of Chile. So, it really is pretty deep.
In-game live, prime time, only on
Thank you, I appreciate this. You want one of these?
I'm good, KG.
You want your ginger shot?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
I need some positivity today. I'm trying to cover this spread, and your vibe is off, G.
What's wrong with my vibe?
You got to get you one of these, G. Get to sip some of this positivity in your life, and boom! You see that? Spread's covered. Thank you, Mama. In a minute, G. Ha ha!
This is SportsRage. I'm Gabriel Morency. To pick some players, the hustlers, the people, the bust them, and everybody else in between. Like I said earlier, these preseason games often just come down to a team will get inside the 5-yard line, and they go for it. Like nobody's ever, like in the real world, the Falcons would have kicked the field goal, right? There was still enough time left that they didn't have to go for it, but it's like, we're not, whatever. Like it's go for it, go for it, go for it. So it can backfire at times when you bet on the totals because they're so aggressive, but they're also very bad as well. So they couldn't do it. We saw the Detroit Lions last night at 1st and goal inside the 5 on 2 different possessions with 2 different quarterbacks. And Sudfeld couldn't get it in the end zone, and Hooker couldn't get it in the end zone. Yet I will call out this McDaniel dude right now, the Miami Dolphins. Bro is challenging plays right now. It's like, dude, there's 3 minutes left. It's a 2013 game. You're winning. There's 3 minutes left in a pre. I'm dead serious. He called the refs over. He's got a big thing. Like, he's challenging this. Dear God. And they have no choice. They're going. I remember they didn't do challenges in the preseason before. That'd be better. Just tell them there's no challenge in the preseason.
I like that.
What do you think, Steve?
He's practicing.
You got to work on it. He's like in preseason mode too, right? He's like, all right, let me get my challenge mode. Yeah. You throw the flag, get him over. Yeah.
That also means he's a play-on coach, perhaps in the preseason. We'll see if that continues. That and the over, maybe both. If you're challenging
I don't know about
stuff,
that, Steve. I think he's just a guy who wants camera time. He's one of those guys, smartest guy in the room type of guy. Look at me. I think McDaniel. He's one of those guys. It's just like that's who he is. And, be careful about challenging stuff in the preseason. We'll see how it affects you in the regular season. I'm just not a fan at all.
No, I think he's a good coach, and I don't really have a problem with it either. The guys are battling out there that are on the field. And like Steve said, it sounds kind of cheesy, but in the same sense, they're practicing, right? And I like the competitiveness more than anything, actually, that it's a preseason game and it pisses him off. He sees a play that's wrong and he wants to talk about it.
I'm not
just going to let it go.
Playing to win. I think you want to see your second and third string, but while they're out there, why not treat it as a real game? I mean, why not?
Well, you don't want to hang them to dry, Steve. You know what I mean? You're not going to hang your players to dry. If they tell you, coach, it's the wrong call, you're going to be like, all right.
You want to see what they have, right? If it's a guy you might be cutting, you want to see him in a real game situation with the real, challenges and everything. So, I don't have a problem with it.
He's pacing up and down the sideline right now, and Morris on the Falcons looks kind of like into it as well. But they're competitive people. They're competitive people. So as far as the Bears tomorrow, Caleb Williams will make his debut. They're taking on the Buffalo Bills. Your boy McDermott. Your
all
of
our boys.
William and Mary.
Your boy and mine.
Yeah, and Coach Tomlin as well. But so Sean McDermott. He's one coach that hasn't, I'm not going to say bad, but the Bills are kind of not a great preseason team. I know this is a Bills fan. They're not their backup quarterback situation is pretty weak. You're going to have Trubisky in here. They always go super vanilla. They really just hand the football off all the time. So if the Bills are going to win a preseason game, it's basically by accident. It's I don't know, it might be close in the fourth quarter and by accident they'll win, but he really doesn't put a lot of emphasis into it. And it is the Chicago Bears' second game, Steve. And the Bears are going to put more emphasis into this after sitting Caleb Williams last week in the Hall of Fame game. We saw the Texans dial it up a notch tonight, too, with their starters.
Yet the line has gone from -1 to 2.5. It doesn't make sense to me. The total's gone from 36.5 up to 38.5, which makes you think the Bears will be playing more starters, obviously. By the way, Tomlin, the other one you mentioned, the other William & Mary, other classmate of mine, Pittsburgh's been very good under Tomlin in the preseason, and they came up short tonight, like you said, against Houston, who played last week and played their starters now after sitting them in the Hall of Fame game.
And he looked mad, Steve. I was watching the game.
Levy, by the way.
He's looked disturbed during the game.
What's that? Yeah, I mean, so.
And Tomlin looked upset tonight, actually, at times. So he was mad about the game.
And by the way, just fast forward to next week. I don't even know who they play yet. That might be a good play-on spot. I always like to play coaches after they're upset about how a team played in the preseason, and they often come to play then. Now, Pittsburgh was at home, so if they're on the road next week, it takes a little bit of away. But what you look for next week is home teams coming off a bad showing this week. So, just something to keep in mind when we watch all these games on Saturday.
It's a good point. It was the type of stuff that coaches hate. False starts, sloppy handoffs, and fumbles. It was just sloppy.
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. I'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center, here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Folks, what a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Harry on the target. Right hand from my very fellow champion. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
80 seconds remaining.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
This is SportsRage. I'm Gabriel Morency. Well, we're going to have a tie now. It's 13-13. And, man, a bunch of crazy games the last couple of days. I got to tell you, man, it's 13-13. This is why people don't like to do it, and especially smart misers like Steve would say, no, I'm not laying minus 145s on money lines like in the regular season and stuff. Yeah, right? Like, it's not smart money, like all the time playing money lines. Let's just be real. But like you and Teddy were talking about, Steve, in the preseason, you get some weird scores, bro. You know what I mean? Like a good example, like the Philadelphia Eagles were minus 1.5 point favorites tonight. Look, we got a 13-13 game. I played them on the money line instead, and I might dodge a bullet and get a push.
Well, let's talk about this game because, first of all, Baltimore opened as a 3-point favorite. They opened minus 170 on the money line. Philly was plus 145. Wild. Philly closed at minus 130, closed as a 2.5 point favorite. And what's even crazier is, as you guys know, Baltimore Ravens, Harbaugh had been money in the bank for several years. He didn't lose a preseason game until recently. And Philly has not been a good preseason team. So it shows how the tide has turned. And what a crazy middle here between the opener and the closer if it ends a tie, because they've gone from a 3-point dog to a 1.5 point, 2-point favorite.
Yeah, Baltimore's going to cover, essentially. It's true. If this game, however you want to dice this, Baltimore will end up covering the spread. You're right, though, Steve. Once the bubble burst, they lost. And one of the reasons why Baltimore were so good, they had great backup quarterbacks. They had Huntley and Hundley, and they had these guys that were perfect. All those guys are on Cleveland now. Like Cleveland's quarterback rotation is stacked for as far as preseason is concerned.
A lot of money on Cleveland tomorrow, Gabe. A lot of money on them, by the way.
Steve, you got Jameis Winston, Dorius Thompson Robinson. You got Huntley on the team. Look at their QB rotation. They're stacked, and people are buying into it.
Yeah, they're a huge favorite tomorrow. They opened 2.5 against Green Bay at home. It's now up to 5.5. The only line I think that's bigger tomorrow is Cincinnati is a 6-point favorite over Tampa. That's a pretty substantial.
Man, there's been big moves this week in the last couple of days, man.
These are crazy moves.
I told people earlier in the week this. I gave people 6 games. That was one of them, and man, it's moved a lot. Like all these.
So what are we doing, guys? Like with these crazy moves, it's middle central. Like you can get a line if it's moving 3 or 4 points, you can hit this thing right down to the middle. We talk about these games being close, decided, maybe a tie. Like that's the whole thing. You talked about it, Merrill. These lines are moving like not just 1 or 2 points. Like this is significant stuff.
Yeah, but Cam, I need my hot tub time machine to get that 2.5 right now on Cincinnati.
Yeah, it doesn't help us now.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Hey, moving forward.
But Cam, to your point, though, I do think that's going on a little bit. The people moving these lines early very well might buy it back tomorrow at 6. We're going to see it close at 5.5 or something. So you are right about that.
That's what I meant.
You could argue that once it gets that high that you can't lay 5.5. Like maybe Green Bay becomes a play. And you're right, Steve. Some people are definitely middling this stuff. Here's another, the trendy picks this week, but not all the move. This Cleveland one really did. The Washington Commanders and the Jets. right? The Jets are another bad preseason team. The Commanders are like they got a good quarterbacks, preseason situation here. New staff, people are buying into the Commanders, and Steve, you're looking at these line moves. The Raiders and the Vikings. Look how that game's bounced around, significantly. Like it was 5.5. It's been all over the place, and this one, guys, is kind of like this is almost like dress rehearsal week preseason game. This is very unique. This one. Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew are in a straight-out battle. Like, it's like an open audition. And Pierce was very open about it. He goes, they're both going to play a quarter. And we'll see. He goes, let's see what they can do. So you have, their two potential starting quarterbacks playing a quarter, going head-to-head. And then, conversely, Sam Darnold is starting for the Minnesota Vikings in this game. And my boy J.J. McCarthy is set to make his debut, who I think will be able to do some nice things here. Vikings are getting 3. Long story short, Maryland Cam, I like the Vikings here, Steve, in this spot. Getting 3 points at home.
Total has really jumped, like you were talking about, open to 34.5. It's up to 39.5, even 40s out there now.
Because all the people hear about Darnold and Minshew and all these quarterbacks and stuff.
You mentioned both teams having some quarterbacks. And the other thing to point out when you have a quarterback battle for first like that is that you're going to probably keep your better offensive players in and your linemen and stuff around the second guy as well. So you're almost getting
you'll call real plays, Steve.
Yes.
You're not just going to hand it off because you won't learn anything. So you're going to call some real plays and see them throw the ball. Yeah.
Right. So it's not just the quarterbacks, but you're going to get the linemen, the receivers, everybody else in there longer. That's why we've seen heavy, sharp money early on the over in that Las Vegas-Minnesota game. By the way, who wears short shorts? Minshew wears short shorts, and the Las Vegas Strip is going to love it.
Yeah, fast forward to a 13-12 final score. Old school football, 13-12 Vikings.
Field goal. The name of the game.
Eagles up 16-13. They're going to cover, by the way. In fact, I think that game just went final.
Mahomes actually plays. So Mahomes actually doesn't play much, but he's going to play a series. The Chargers and Seahawks are interesting. The Seahawks are 3-point favorites over the Chargers. Harbaugh's a competitive guy. It's not a regular season game, but he'd like to get the W in his first game with the Chargers. Yep. But at the same point, it's a unique situation. You have a new coach with the Seattle Seahawks as well. And McDonald and Harbaugh are actually buddies. McDonald is a Baltimore Raven guy, and they're all coming through Michigan and stuff. If you look at the Baltimore and the Michigan staff are interchangeable over the last couple of years. Could it be a disadvantage for Michigan moving forward? It was like an advantage for Michigan now. Oh, yeah, we've got the Baltimore Ravens staff on our team. So they do know each other very well. It'll be, competitive friendly. But the Seahawks are 3-point favorites on the road. Saints and Cards, interesting. And, guys, the Broncos are going to suck in a regular season, but I really like them on they got a really good quarterback situation. Jared Stidham, Bo Nix, Zach Wilson. That's a good QB situation, guys, for the preseason.
Agreed.
Yeah, and Gabe, really as a rule of thumb, that's what you want to make your short list. You want to play on sucky teams in the preseason and play against really good teams. And I talked about Marv Levy earlier, probably one of the best runs any football team's had. I know they win a Super Bowl, but they were dominant for a decade. The AFC, Buffalo Bills,
he hated
late
the
80s,
preseason,
early 90s, and he was the worst preseason coach in history, probably. So you really want to take a complete opposite view. And you mentioned not my Washington Commanders against the Jets. And I'm thinking, well, if they lose that game, the home opener next week will be the game. I just looked, they're on the road again next week at Miami. So they won't be at home until week 3, I guess. And speaking of Pittsburgh, they are back home next week, and they're playing the Buffalo Bills. McDermott, Tomlin play next week. So it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. If Buffalo wins easy tomorrow, Pittsburgh might be worth a look next week at home.
I think Chicago. And I'm a Bills fan, but I think Chicago probably
I don't get why Buffalo's favored in there either. I'm with you on that. Teams that play that first game historically have an edge in the second game. We saw Houston win tonight.
Steve Merrill kicking with us, Cam Stewart in the house. Tony Finn will join us later. So will Rob Vino. Got a full house on the program this evening. So 20-13 final, the Miami Dolphins game. Stays under the number. So the Dolphin game stayed under the number.
All three stayed under.
All three tonight. And last night was 2-0. That's 5 in a row.
5-5, yep. Wow.
You're 5-0-1 to the under, depending on what sports book you've had this season, based on the Hall of Fame game, right? So,
yeah,
55
over or not.
You know what my record was tonight in the NFL? 2-2-1.
There it is.
I hit both unders.
Yeah.
I hit both unders. I lose the Steelers +3. I pushed the Eagles money line. and I lose the Falcons.
Eagles, Gabe, I'm seeing 16-13 final on the Wager Talk Live odds screen. So is this
I
incorrect?
thought you just said it was 13-13 final.
No, he said Eagles won. They just picked the field goal to win. Yeah.
They kicked it to the buzzer, I believe.
Oh, that's even. You know what? I watch on the NFL Network. They're doing like a live look, and they went to a Burger King commercial. Yeah. So look at this. Instead, that's a big difference.
Yeah,
big difference between 2-2 and 1 and 3.
Right there. That is
3-1 and 1.
Game.
He went from a Whopper to those sponge nuggets. That sucks.
Hey, we'll take it, baby.
Heidi game.
Yeah, the infamous Heidi game. That's awesome. The infamous Heidi game. So speaking of which, we'll hit this on the other side, but you'll like this, Merrill, even just as a fascinating from a betting perspective. Canada won the men's 4x4 men's relay today, track and field.
I saw it live today. God-awful performance by the U.S.
Terrible. They can't even hand a baton off properly, these guys.
Again.
Yes, four times in a row. Carl Lewis flipped after it. He goes, just shut the team down. You're a bunch of losers. Like, you don't get it. Yeah.
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center, here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Folks, what a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Harry on the top. Right hand from my boy, double check. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
80 seconds remaining. We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
All right, so much to get to. I'm like Cam Stewart now. I'm actually seeing this field goal like 2 minutes, 4 minutes after it's happened.
Yeah.
Normally, I'm watching this. Well, you know what? I had the other games, and I have it on the NFL Network. They were showing they had the Pittsburgh Steelers game on the NFL Network. Then after that, they cut into the Dolphin game. Then they cut into this one. But they're a little bit like they're like 2 minutes behind reality. Like I see it right now. So we escape. 16-13, we'll take it. Like I said, big difference between 2-2 and 1 and 3-1 and 1. That's nice.
10% better, man. Go from 50% to 60%. I like that.
Damn right.
That's a big deal.
So,
you can make a living doing 60%.
You were watching this stuff today, Steven. It was incredible just from a sport fan standpoint and from a betting list. Everything was unbelievable at once that was like going on at the same time. The men's gold medal soccer match. Spain gets out to like an early 2-0 lead. Then it's 3-1, man. Was 1-1 like early. Then it's 3-1 in the 29th minute. It's doom and gloom. France battle back, are down 3-2 and like going into extra added time. They get a penalty kick. They score. It's 3-3. The drama is insane. And basically at the same time, you have the men's 100-meter thing going on, the 4x4 relay race. Then Spain scores twice in the extra time to win the gold medal. They win the Euro Cup. They just win the gold medal. They're the kings of soccer again. And, Steve, I'm glad you saw that race because one of the guys, it was a Bovada guy, because I said I saw 33-1 before the race. And he goes, we had 66-1 this morning on this, early in the morning. It's one of the biggest upsets ever. It's one of the biggest upsets in sports history, Steve. 66-1, bro. It doesn't get bigger than that, man. Put in perspective, guys. Buster Douglas was 42-1 against Mike Tyson that night.
Yeah, I'm going to pull it up, actually, because what I've been doing every day is I'll give Bovada credit. You can toggle on today's events only, and I just archive on my spreadsheet every day. So I did this late last night, so I'll pull it up here in a minute. I'll give you what the odds were going into the morning for every event. And keep in mind, Noah Lyles came down with COVID. That's why he didn't get the gold in the 200 yesterday, and he was not on that 100 team. So that also did not help that you had the Olympic gold medal.
They would have screwed it up anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
But the handoff is usable. I just don't understand how this keeps happening year after year for that team.
He's right, though. Like, how do you guys
No. It's I swear to God, guys. Donovan Bailey, one of the greatest runners ever, is the analyst on CBC, so it was a treat to see him. And he said, listen, Canada have struggled. All four guys on the Canadian team, Steve, not one of them made it to their finals of their race this week. They all finished 7-6. They had a horrible week. They had the 7th lowest odds to win a gold medal. And Donovan Bailey said, listen, other people are faster, but he goes, this really is a team thing. And he goes, there's a lot to it. He goes, it's more than just handing off the baton and stuff. He goes, it's about the timing. And he talked about when they won the gold medal in 96, that it was they trusted each other so much, it was by sound. He goes, I would start taking off, and I would trust. Donovan Bailey goes, I trusted the Bruni Cern. He goes, I would hear Bruni hit the tape, and he goes, I would start running, and I would trust that he would catch up to me in perfect stride. And you saw today, Canada, it was a perfect handoff to DeGrasse, and then DeGrasse just took off at the end. Great run by DeGrasse. He saved it. Epic stuff, but 66-1, man, like. And I didn't take it, Cam, because I didn't think they had a hope in hell. I was like, I've been watching all this. That's why I didn't take it. I'm like, dude, they sucked all week. They're not even going to make the podium, I don't think.
All right, so Gabe, this was last night. This was about 1 a.m. Eastern last night. I was going to bed. I logged the odds. This is for the 4x100 relay gold medal. USA was -600. South Africa was 12-1. Britain was 14-1. I believe they were top 3 still. But yeah, you're going down the list. You've got Italy, Japan, Canada 50-1, China 50-1,
50 for Canada last night.
51. This was after Nevada, and then so that was a pretty big upset. I didn't realize they were that big of it. When they won it, I didn't think anything of it. I didn't realize they were that big of a dog. But that's why I love logging the odds, even when I'm not betting on some of these events, to go back and look. And yeah, the Olympics have been fantastic. I'm going to honestly miss having it the next couple of weeks. I've really enjoyed it.
And Cam, I had the Netherlands women's field hockey team in a million parlays.
Yeah.
And they came in today. They were -3,300 to lift the trophy, -1,200 to win in regulation, which they did not. And China, same thing. I don't know if you had the China on, Steve, like before to make the final. Like it was a shock that China beat Belgium. But get this, China, you got to tip your cap to them. They're smart people, right? They learn so fast. They see that Holland are the #1 team in women's field hockey. So you know what they did? They hired Holland's former coach, Steve.
Bingo, Gabe. Bingo.
They have a former Dutch woman.
In curling.
And they had this,
I saw that. Yeah,
they had the same system. They had the same system going as Holland did, so she kind of knew this is what they're going to do. Trust me, this is what they were taught, and they play the system. The only difference is when it got to the penalty shootout, the skill was different. Like the Chinese girls look like kids, and the Dutch girls were just coming in with spin moves and bam, right? But that was intense stuff, man. It was like hockey. It was like a shootout breakaways, but on turf for a gold medal. The entire stadium was cheering for Holland. It was all orange. It was nuts. And the Chinese girls were so nice after they lost. They were all smiling to everybody.
It's a great point you bring up, though, Gabe. They do that in all their sports. I remember when Canada was crushing in curling. No one knows the story. And China went up and talked to Canadian legends, and they got tape and they figured out what to do. Have you seen these Asian curlers now, Steve? They're world class, man. It's not just Canada, Scotland, Norway, whatever. The Japanese and Chinese are good. It's just Gabe said it. Whatever they do, they learn quick. And then they're at the top of the food chain again.
They're very good at stealing intellectual property. I think we've known that for decades in all aspects of life. Yeah. So this should not be a shock.
Property.
They're good. That's what I'm saying, Steve. They're good at learning fast and copying.
So Gabe, I've got the odds pre-Olympic here for you. The Netherlands,
what were they?
China. When the Olympics began, they were only minus 190 to win the gold medal, which I'm shocked there was not higher. Argentina was 6-1, Germany 7-1, Australia 8-1, China way down on the list. They were 25-1, so that would have been a huge upset.
So it was 25-1. All right, yeah. Still massive.
USA 175-1, second to last. That's how bad the USA is in field hockey. Crazy,
dude. Holland dodged a freaking bullet. Trust me.
Yeah, right.
They were yeah. All right. So on the other side, speaking of which, France versus USA, men's and women's basketball gold.
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center, here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Folks, what a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Harry on the top. Right hand from my boy, double jab. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
80 seconds remaining.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
Great stuff. Steve's all over the Olympics. Very impressed. We didn't even get to the basketball yet. I'm seeing right now, too, Steve. USA, from what I remember, they were minus 700 to have the most gold medals. It's 33-33 right now with China going into the last day. 2 days, days and a half here. Yeah, but USA are going to pull it out because of the team stuff. I think China still has another 2-3 medals. I got a big bet on China over 33 and a half. They're at 33. They have a weightlifter that's going to win. They have a boxer that's going to win. I think they might have 2 or 3 more in them. The U.S. losing some of these track events is setting them back a little bit and keeping us closer. But I think the USA will escape. But who knows? Watch it come down to like the women's golf or something like that. Right? Like the Chinese girl wins. Pretty crazy that it's this close, 33-33.
Yeah, so I'm trying to pull up the updated odds, but going into the last night, it had gone from 6-1 to 1-12. take back plus 700 on China. So as of yesterday morning, you could have gotten minus 1,200 or plus 700 on China for most golds. I would expect it to be a little closer going into tomorrow. I'm going to try to pull it up here in a minute.
The USA didn't have a good day today. It's these some of these track losses. Although Benjamin hit the parlay. All right, so France gets it done. Very crazy game in that, too. Belgium hit a freaking 3-point shot with 8 seconds left to send it to overtime today against France in women's basketball. Now they play the USA. Almost identical point spreads, everybody. It's pretty you be careful, like when you're getting your bet in, if you're drunk, or old school. It's like USA, France, 15.5, 16.5. Like the only difference is like the total, Steve. And Cam, look at it, Steve. It's like the men are getting 16.5 and the women are getting 15.5, France.
Yeah, by the way, I just pulled it up. Minus 600, take back plus 400 on China now for most golds. It's been cut in half since yesterday. Just from Friday's action, it's been cut back to where it was on Thursday.
What a market.
A couple of more USA upsets along the way here, guys, and China might backdoor this.
You're right, Gabe. That's true. They're definitely crazy too.
Hey, a lot of the track and field left, guys, is not American stuff. It's the long stuff. This is where the Ethiopians are going to start racking up the medals.
Kenya, Ethiopia,
right. You got the Senegal,
Monday,
stuff.
Long stuff.
There are 2 gold medals coming in basketball, most likely, because, like you said, they're both 15 to 16-point favorites. Definitely not betting against the women. They're a powerhouse team. They should lay it on them. France does have that home court edge. We saw them pull back-to-back upsets, obviously, against, as you guys know, a good Canada team and a decent Germany team. But as we also know in all sports, back-to-back straight-up dog wins is usually a pretty good fade. And the U.S. has been tricky, but they've been a zigzag. They've been a consistent zigzag. They play bad, they play good. They play bad against Puerto Rico. They blow out Brazil early. They play bad against Serbia. Wouldn't want to bet against them. I think even with that French crowd, the USA first half -9 is worth a look. Full game -16. And I like the under. This is men's I'm talking because we've seen the 2 games go under in the semis. Hey, game 7s, right? We always play the under in game 7s. These are game 7s. And I think also a lot of size down low for France with Wemby, but not a lot of guard play. So I like the under also in the game.
One thing, too, Steve, as far as the U.S., I think it's a bad spot for France in the sense that you mentioned 2 big upsets. France are elated to get into the gold medal game. Obviously, they want to win, but the USA were just threatened. They had their scare. But the USA, they're going to be focused from the first whistle, knowing this is France in France. We cannot let them get the crowd going. We can't let France be up 25-12 after the first quarter because they're really good defensively, Steve. They can lock things down, bro, if they get a lead.
And so can the U.S. And the U.S. turned on the defense against Serbia. They'd given up 15 threes in the first 3 quarters. On Thursday, they gave up no threes in the fourth. That's why they came back from that 17-point deficit. And by the way, going into the fourth quarter live, the U.S. was a dog in the game. They had a 30% chance on the money line to win straight up. That's how big of an upset or how big of a comeback it became. I think they carry that momentum. And like you said, both teams can play some defense, so I like the under as well.
It's interesting, though, which French team has a better chance of covering the point spread? You said you think the women are going to blow them out. The women's semifinal game was the best one that they played. I was looking at the numbers, Steve. They've only won by 24 points twice in the last 2 Olympics. It's sort of their cutoff, but they dialed it up a notch. France are not great. This women's team kind of willed themselves. They're kind of a lot like the men's team. They play lower scoring defensive games. They have really tall girls on the team. They have a ton of heart. They play defensive style, but it's going to be ugly for France losing to USA in both gold medal games. And Steve, get this. I got a France ticket 15-1 to win the gold medal that I played a month ago. Just because I like the number, I can't hedge it. What can I do with it? There's nothing I can do. The USA are minus 1,500 on the money line.
You're right.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, all you can hope for is a slow start and play it in game, but you probably won't get it.
That's a good point. You're right. Hopefully, France get a lead. Right.